Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany and I'm so glad to have you joining me today. In today's video we are doing part 1 of my guest room makeover. I am so excited to finally be getting this room put together. As you can see, it's got elements to it, but it definitely was a long way away. So let's go ahead and get started. In today's video, we're going to be doing a really affordable board and batten on the walls all throughout the room, and it just all comes together at the end. If you're wondering the color on the wall currently, this is the color Pale Oak by Benjamin Moore. It's absolutely beautiful. It is in my entire downstairs. However, we are going to be painting it a different color. And please disregard my voice. My allergies are out of control. This is our second spring here on the East Coast, and everything is in bloom, and my sinuses are having a conniption. They don't know what to do. So right now Danny is measuring out the MDF boards, which you just saw that he had already cut. So we do our board and batten with MDF, which is a really affordable material. You can find it at Home Depot. That's where we get it. And it's about $12 a sheet. And the sheet is 4 feet high by 3 feet wide. Or is it 2 feet? It might be 2 feet. But we just slice them down with the table saw down to 3-inch pieces, and we are putting a pretty decent amount of space in between them. I can't remember what our final amount was, but I want to say it was like 2.5 feet, I think, in between each board. And so what he did was he went through and he measured out where they all were going to go, and then he went back in and used the nail gun to put them all up. Now there are tons of videos on YouTube about how to do board and batten. It's all up to you. You can use real wood. That is a little bit pricier. It does look really nice though. If I was doing this in like my living room, I'd probably do a real wood just because I'd want it to look a little bit nicer. It's in a really high traffic area. But in this area here, or like we did in the kids' bathroom, I just feel like the MDF is a really affordable option. So we measured out where everything needed to go. Danny had pre-cut before this video, and he's just getting them up on the wall now. But if you want a little bit more detail on how to do this, we did do this in the kids' bathroom on an accent wall. I'll have that video linked for you down below. It does kind of walk you through the process a little bit better about how to measure it all out. And be careful if you're ever using a nail gun or anything like this around electrical outlets like this. You don't want to nail into any wires. So make sure that you know where all of that is. Luckily for us, we took pictures of all of the wiring in our house before they put up the walls, so we know where everything is. But we're just gonna let Danny finish up getting these boards on the wall, and then we will get to the next step. So this guest room is on our first floor. It is the first room when you walk into our house. And so, you know, it does get seen every time somebody comes over unless the door is shut. And it has a really beautiful view of our driveway and the front yard eventually when there is a front yard. But it's a really, really beautiful room. It gets tons of great natural light, especially in the afternoon, which you'll see later in this video. It just gets a beautiful golden hour. So I love it very much, and it's where my mom will stay when she comes to visit, or where she has stayed. And we have, you know, we host family and friends. This is where they'll stay. We're actually hosting Danny's best friend this weekend, so I'm excited for him to enjoy the space. But we did decide, because the room is really small, to do the board and batten all the way around. We did end up using, I think, 4 sheets of the MDF, and which I thought was really affordable because they were only $12 each. And then I did buy a little bit of paint, which I'll show you here in a little bit. But I think this entire project was done in under $100, and I just love the way, you know, it all comes together here in the end. I feel like board and batten is so popular right now because it is so easy, and it just brings such a classic and warm look to a space for a really low price. You can't beat it. So in the board and batten world, there are a number of ways that you can do this. The first time I ever saw this done, the person had put those horizontal boards that Danny's attaching now on first, and then attached the vertical boards. But I don't really like that way because sometimes measurements are not always straight. So although, you know, in a perfect world, the floor would be perfectly straight, the baseboard would be perfectly straight, sometimes it's not. And so I feel like when you can put the vertical boards on first, then you can just level out the top board. I don't know, it works for us. It may not work for you. You can do it however you see fit. But just use your level as you go to make sure that it's all good, and use a few nails at the beginning until you're sure that it's right, so you can go back and peel it off if you need to. There's one piece that we had to do that on, that little piece there in the corner, which Danny after the fact was like, why did I do this? Why didn't I start putting up the horizontal pieces in the corner instead of by the door? In hindsight, he should have put it there in the corner and worked his way towards the door, but you know, we all know what they say about hindsight. And the other thing too is that we could have measured this to avoid the outlets. However, this wall here is the focal wall, the one that he's putting the horizontal piece on now. That's the first wall you see when you walk in the room, and it has a window all the way to the right. So there's this, you know, great wall space here where the bed is eventually going to go. However, when we first initially had done this, we spaced it out to only have 5 boards on this wall, and it just looked awkward because the center board was not in the center of the wall. So instead we moved it to doing 6 boards on this wall, and it looks a heck of a lot nicer and more symmetrical. So what you saw Danny do just there was open up the wood putty for me, and I'm just filling in all of the holes. So you want to go back and fill in all those nail holes to give it more of, you know, a smooth, cohesive look. This part is so tedious. I don't enjoy it, but it has to get done. So I didn't really film it. I think I show you a clip of it here in a little bit so you see what I'm doing, but it's really the boring steps. So let's talk furniture in this room for a second. So that rickety old desk that you see Danny moving right there, that is so old, you guys. We bought that, I think at Target, I don't know, 10 years ago. The thing is falling apart. It was falling apart before we moved, and then it was in the pod for a year and a half, and it definitely did not survive the drive across the country, but it's what we have for now. It gets used every single day. This is where Ronan does his homework. Danny is in an online class that he takes in here. So I don't want to get rid of it until I have something to replace it with. And I am really interested in getting like an old-fashioned vintage like stationary desk. So we'll see. I'm not ready to get rid of it yet until I know what I want next. So we're just going to hold on to it for now. But yes, I am extremely aware that that thing needs to go. Danny's going to try to fix it to the best of his ability until I find something else, just because it is used so often. But I recognize that it has seen its last day, trust me. And that other piece, that tall dresser that you saw, that piece I purchased on Facebook Marketplace. I have the dresser that matches it in my bedroom, and I plan on painting it. Well, that was my initial plan. However, Danny has since started sanding it down for me so that I could paint it, and it's actually real wood. I didn't think it was, and it's gorgeous underneath. So I actually don't think I'm gonna paint it. So I can't wait for you to see that piece when it's finished. That piece right there, it will be coming back in. I bought new hardware for it. It is stunning now that he's sanded it down and taken off all that orange varnish. It just looks really, really beautiful. So he's gonna go ahead and finish getting these pieces up, and then we will continue on with filling in the nail holes, and then we got to move on to paint. And one last thing I just want to mention in this area is I mentioned before in a previous video that the things that I had for outside on my deck, I brought inside when the weather was crazy, which it has been insanely windy right now, so I brought it inside, but that's where it lives. It lives right here on top of this dresser, and you know, it kind of serves a double purpose. Like, looks nice in here, but it also is a good place to put it when I'm not using it. So, and I mentioned in my last Sunday reset that we purchased new deck furniture. We returned what we purchased. It was stunning and gorgeous, and I love to look at it, but it was so uncomfortable. So we did return it, and tonight our new stuff came in. So Danny's been putting that together. I cannot wait to show that to you in the next Sunday reset. Right across the hall here, you can see where the light is on and that stool is. That's our powder room. And initially when we were first building our house, we considered turning that into a full bath and pushing out the laundry room. But to To turn that bathroom into a full bathroom was going to cost like an additional $10,000, and we just decided it wasn't something we wanted to do at this time. We did have the bathroom upstairs as well for guests to shower in, but I am going to create a little area here in the guest room with a mirror and everything, so somebody could get ready here in this room if they needed to. This little spot right here in the corner between the two windows, Danny completely forgot about this spot. So this is the last area that he is adding in the board and batten, and then I'm going to go in and finish filling in all the holes. So the wood filler is just super easy. It's just, you know, a really soft putty-like material, and I just put it on my finger and then kind of rub it into the hole, and then I kind of rub around it. So it's kind of like glue. If you just rub it, it'll kind of ball up and come off, so that way you're not sanding as much, because I hate to do that. But all throughout the night, I just finished doing all of this and sanding it down. So you're not going to see all of that because I didn't film it, but here it is after all the wood putty is dry. I've sanded every single part of this down except for the wall. All of the MDF has been sanded, and I did start to paint. So on this wall, I started painting the night before in the dark because I wanted to see if I liked the color, which you're probably thinking, Tiffany, it doesn't even really look that different. And you're right, it doesn't, because I liked the color on the wall. I just wanted something a little bit darker. So the color on the wall is pale oak. The color that I am painting it is Accessible Beige by Sherwin Williams. And then we're gonna do the white on top in the color Swiss Coffee by Behr. It's the same color that I did for the kids' bathroom upstairs. It's just a really warm, creamy white. It looks really beautiful. So we're gonna get started with the Accessible Beige. I did just purchase a quart. I didn't need a lot of it, and I'm using a semi-gloss. I think the semi-gloss looks better because it's technically supposed to be like a trim, and you want to use semi-gloss on trim. It just looks really nice, makes those you know, the trim accents pop. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not being careful when I'm painting because I'll go in and cut in with the white on the top, but I'm just making sure that I'm doing all of the sides really well. The other thing I forgot to mention that I didn't film was Danny doing all of the caulk, and that's because, again, it was night, and the lighting in here is terrible at night, so it's just really soft and sweet in the light, but not good for filming. So he went in with the caulking gun and did all of the caulking. Again, I talk more about that in my other video, so check that one out, but we're just going to watch everything kind of transform. So if you like this pale oak color, but you want something a little bit different, I feel like the Accessible Beige is a very close dupe for the pale oak. When it's wet right here, it almost looks identical, but when it dries, it does dry a little bit darker. So I could have just painted these pale oak and left the wall the same color, but I wanted something a little bit different. I've got the pale oak everywhere else downstairs. I wanted something different. I wanted something a little bit darker, and I'm so glad I went with this color. Just wait to the end. It looks so beautiful. And just a preview, I do plan to paint the baseboards. That is a tip I would recommend if you're doing board and batten. Paint the baseboards the same color as the board and batten, and it'll make the wall seem a lot taller. You'll see at the end, it all comes together. Had a little furry friend with me today. She did not want to leave my side. That's my kitty cat Luna. She is 2. She is tiny. She weighs like, I don't know, 8 pounds. She's just a little ball of fluff, and she was very desperate for my attention. So she just kept rubbing up against me and purring and meowing, wanted all my attention. I like her company. For the batten parts of the board and batten, which is the parts in between the 2 boards, the actual wall, I am going to be actually rolling this section. I wish I'd used a larger roller, but this is what I had, but I just feel like it would have gone a lot faster if I had a bigger roller. The batten parts were really big, so I just feel like a bigger roller would have done fine, but that's fine. This does the job. Now that the boards are starting to dry and I'm going back with a second coat, you can actually see the difference between the pale oak and the accessible beige. It really is not a big difference at all. It's very subtle, but it is a little bit darker and a little bit warmer. And I don't know, it just, wait till you see with the baseboard painted. It just looks so beautiful and creamy. This is a gorgeous color. This would be gorgeous on furniture, on kitchen cabinets. This is just a really, really beautiful color and almost like a grayish. I really love this color. Behind the scenes, which you're not really getting to see right now, but behind the scenes, Danny was helping me do a lot of the cutting with the white. So he was getting started with that. He didn't want to be on the camera, but, and this is a different day. I don't know if you noticed that my sweater changed, but it is a different day. This took us, I think, 3 separate days to get the entire room painted and, you know, put back together so I could decorate it. But, you know, that's stopping to go to the movies and see the new Doctor Strange. That's cooking dinner for my family. You know, that was a lot of stop and go. And here is the board and batten now that it's painted, looking super nice and creamy. I cannot wait to see this once the white is all the way up and we have the baseboards painted. I don't know what it is. I have this thing about painted trim, like an actual color, not just white. I just feel like it's so beautiful. So I was for sure going to be painting the baseboards. But now I'm just going to go in and do a second coat on all of the Swiss coffee that Danny was so kind to do for me, that first coat. So I'm going to go in and do a second coat on this, and then we'll get the walls painted. And speak of the handsome devil, there he is now. Always recommend going in and doing all of your cut work first. So cut work just means anything that you're going to paint, you know, a straight edge on without using tape. So I don't like to tape anything off. I just think it's a waste of time. I would rather just use a really good angled brush, take my time and get it done. Even if you take your time painting and cutting in really well, it still takes less time than going through and using the tape, in my opinion. So if you've never tried it, don't be afraid. Honestly, if you're not like caulking your painter's tape anyway, you're really not going to get a very good seal. It's never really, really good. So there's always going to be bleeding. So if you haven't tried using the cutting method, I would highly recommend it because honestly, it's just so much easier. And now I am going to start rolling the Swiss coffee on. And I don't know what I was thinking with that little quart of paint. Like, it's not ever going to be enough to cover all of the wall that I need it to cover, but I completely forgot that I had an entire gallon of Swiss coffee in satin down in the basement. Probably should have checked for that first. So I am just going to get started with doing as much painting as I can. I'm asking Danny if he could go find me a pole so that I don't have to get up and down off the ladder. Seriously, my legs were burning so badly from, just the up and down motion of the ladder. So, and as you can see in this shot, the dresser is also missing, and that's because Danny had taken it out and he is working on sanding it down for me. So just gonna get these walls painted and then we will go on to the next step. All right, and now it is baseboard time. So some of you are probably thinking like, absolutely not, do not paint the baseboard. I can't even believe she's doing this, but honestly, just wait until you see. It looks so good. Again, I'm using that angled brush, and I'm using a file folder. I picked these up at Walmart for 98 cents. I think there were 10 of them in there, and I just slid it under the baseboard, and I was able to get all the way down to the bottom of the baseboard and not have to worry about getting any on the floor. Now I could have used painter's tape across the floor. That would have been fine. That just would have taken really long, and I didn't feel like doing that, so I just used this file folder. I don't remember where I saw this. I saw somebody, I don't know where I saw it, but this is such a great technique, and there were parts I couldn't do it because the floors, there wasn't space under every part of the baseboard, but I was able to use it for most. So here's a shot of the baseboard not painted and then the baseboard painted, and that's only with one coat. So as you can see, it just makes a huge difference. It makes the wall look taller, and it just gives it a really finished look. So if you're wondering why I started doing the baseboard before I finished painting this, that's because I wanted it to dry, and I was waiting for Danny to find me that other gallon. I thought I didn't have it, so he was looking for me, but while he was doing that, I just painted the first coat on all of the baseboards, and then when they dry, I'll go back and do a second coat. I don't actually think I filmed that just because I knew this video was getting really long, but you'll get to see it at the end. I love a painted baseboard. It's just stunning. Wait till you see. And apparently I had lost my mind while I was doing all of the cut work with the Swiss coffee, because completely forgot to do that corner. So I do have to go back in and get that corner done. So this is much later in the day. The sun is now in the front of the house. So if we get some odd shadows, that's because the sun is pretty much right outside of these windows. But as you can see in the background, I got all of the baseboards painted, and do you see the difference? It just, I don't know, it just looks so good. Like I love the painted baseboard. I don't know what it is. It just looks so pretty. And no, I did not paint the door trim. That obviously stays white, but the baseboard, it just looks really, really beautiful. And I'm thinking about what I'm going to do in my bedroom. I'd like to do some kind of accent wall in there. I really want to do a stone accent wall, so we'll see, but definitely want to paint the baseboard on the wall that we do an accent on. It just looks so pretty. We did this with the kids' bathroom as well, so if you check out that video, you'll get to see that. But just taking some time now to clean up this space, and we're going to get the floor clean, and then we're going to put the bed together. As a side note, I am still loving this O-Cedar mop. I've gotten some really great tips on how to separate the clean water from the dirty water, and a viewer had commented that you can fit like a bathroom trash can in the open part right there where you can put your clean water, and then your dirty water will just go in the actual bucket. So I really want to try that. I just have not purchased the trash can yet. So, and you know what? I was at the Dollar Tree today. I should have done it while I was there, but I totally didn't think about it. So I definitely want to do that, but I still love this mop. I've been putting a little bit of liquid Tide in the water, just enough to make it smell good, and I feel like liquid Tide takes everything off. So I'm loving it. And this is not sponsored. And here is how the room is looking. I wanted you to get a view from out in the hallway. This is what it's looking like without any furniture, except for that desk that's falling apart. But oh, it just looks so pretty. Do you see what I mean now about those baseboards? Like definitely super important that if your board and batten is a color, paint the baseboard. Don't be afraid. It will make such a huge difference, but I cannot wait to get this room decorated. So we're moving on to putting together the bed. I want to go ahead and thank YAHEETECH for partnering with me for this portion of today's video. So funny story about this. So I was contacted by this company a few months ago to collaborate together. And at the time, I wasn't in a position where I was ready to start taking on, sponsorships. And I was searching for beds on Amazon, bed frames, and I went to the bed frame that I had purchased for my boys upstairs, for Aiden and Ronan, my big boys. They both have a queen size bed in their room, and I realized that the bed that I had purchased was from YAHEETECH, and I wanted that exact same bed but in white. So I contacted them again and said, would you be interested in partnering on this bed? And they said yes, and here we are. So what is fantastic about this bed is if you are into that metal bed look, like the metal frame, which I really love. I just think it gives it a very vintage and romantic look. My boys have black ones, and I went with white for this room. But if you like that look, these beds are super affordable, less than $100, and super easy to put together. They came in a day and a half maybe, and they're really great quality. So I'm always skeptical with a metal bed because I feel like they're going to be wobbly, but these come with a lot of support pieces. And so they, it does, when you put the mattress on top, which that's the other great thing about this is you don't have to have a box spring. So you just put the mattress right on the bed and it feels very, very supported. So it looks beautiful and it works really well, and most importantly, it is affordable. So if you're like me and you have a lot of beds in your house, which we do, we have 7 beds in our house, it's always nice to be able to find something that is beautiful and affordable. So Danny and I are going to get this bed put together, and in the second part of this makeover, you will get to see what I chose for bedding. So, and what's a video without a little Charlie? There she is. She was very needy this day. I don't know if the drill was making her crazy, like the sound of the drill on the metal, but she was really stressed out. So you see her tail's kind of down and she's like staring at me to hold her, but she was all right. So we're going to go ahead and get this bed put together, and then we'll do a final look before we say goodbye until part 2. So here is the bed all put together. I was trying to decide which wall I wanted it to go on. At first I thought it would go on that wall to the right there, and that way you could kind of see out the window, but with the desk over there, it's a little bit tight. And like I said, we really do use that desk, so I figured we'd leave it where it is. Sorry for the lighting, the sun was just blaring in right there, but this mattress this is a Nectar mattress, but it is a microfiber, and I am obsessed with the way this bed looks, you guys. I just think it's so pretty. Like I said, I think it looks vintage and romantic. It's not overly big, so it doesn't like overtake the room. This is a really small room, and I think it's 11 by 11, so it's really small. But I don't know, it just looks really pretty and sweet. Like I said, my boys have the black bed, and I think it's just such a great quality, especially for the price. And I am super excited to be able to have another one of these beds here in the guest room. So can't wait for you to see this when it's all finished being decorated and fully decked out. So make sure you check out next week's video. I post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.